theyeshiva.net.
What do you do with the kids? With Eliyahu Novi? You spoke about it by this way, don't you? That you shouldn't tell the kids lies and stuff. But when I was raised, they said, okay, you have to tell the kids they don't have a drink from the cuss. And what you do is you turn them around, you shake the table. But it's not honesty. What do you tell the kids? I'm asking.
You don't shake the table.
I'm asking, what do you tell them? The kids come home from school, they say, teacher said, Honorable comes at night and drinks the cuss. What do you answer? I know my daughter's going to ask me to. She's going to ask me.
I survived.
Thank you. I asked a question.
Because he told you to shake the table.
But Machis L'Shavek, it's a real question.
The boy went to sleep. Got from the Kim's later. So 1 year he decided to hide. He's watching. So the father puts it back in the bottle. He left all of it.
Yeah, the rabbi said it. That's why I'm asking. But what do you tell your daughter? Or you...
I know the Maisa firsthand. It's not. I don't know it 10th hand.
Oh, it's a real story.
Yeah.
Rabbi, so what's the right answer to my daughter or my son when they ask me?
Somebody sent it out, the story, so I wanted to know if it's true. So I did some... What happened was there was a fellow, and he said this recently. I think he said it last year. He lives in a very beautiful religious community not far from here. And he said that when he was a kid, his father would always say that Eliyahu Navi comes in the middle of the night after everybody goes to sleep, drinks up the whole cup, and cleans it out also, and puts it back in the cabinet. But everybody is asleep. And this was like an amazing thing. So one year he decided, I think he was 6 years old or 7, very little kid. He's going to stay up a whole night to watch it. Imagine the schus to see Eliyahu Navi. And he stayed up. And what does he see? He saw his father, after everybody went to sleep, his father went and took it and poured it back into the bottle and washed it off and put it actually in the china closet, which was in his bedroom where he slept. It was a closet, that's where he kept it. And he saw it all. And he said, and at that moment... That's what his father meant, huh? He said, and at that moment, it shattered his whole emunah. So that means Yitzias Mitzrayim is also his father invented, Kriyas Yamsov his father invented, Matan Torah his father invented.
So what do we do with this? Right?
And he said, and his father meant, he said, he knows that his father probably meant well. His father was trying to inspire the child with miracles. But the father was making a very big mistake. It's a mistake that some people make. It's a similar thing I told you about the moon once, you remember? There was a Yid. He was 9 years old. He was in a classroom in a particular community. Also very prominent Jewish community, very religious. And they went on the moon. This is 50 years ago, mamish 50 years ago, August 1969. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, they went on the moon. And they landed on the moon. And he asked his teacher in class, he was 9, that we say in the bracha of Kiddush Levana, Kashem shani roiket kenegdich ve'eni yachel en goyabach. I can't touch you. And here, not only did they touch the moon, they stood on the moon, they planted an American flag on the moon, they brought back souvenirs, earth from the moon, they took a picture on the moon. That's more than touching, they spent time on the moon, they landed on the moon. The Israelis were listening to the Nusach of Kiddush Levana, so Eini Yachel and Gayabach. The spacecraft said, I can't touch. That's the Israelis, but the Americans landed on the moon. So what did his teacher say? His teacher said that it never happened. This was a conspiracy. And the teacher identified 2 groups who were part of the conspiracy. One was Goyim, and there was another group also. And they, with Hollywood, they went to Hollywood and they produced a film, all fiction, of landing on the moon, simply to deceive people. Now, he was 9 years old. He said, I knew at that moment that the teacher is lying from his teeth. He doesn't believe it. He's just saying it to be able to answer this great question. At that moment, he says, everything I learned till that point was just deleted from my brain. I said to myself, he said, I cannot trust a thing that comes out of their mouth. Now this teacher wouldn't even be aware of what he did. He thought he was protecting the Messiah. That's what he was trying to do. I'm sure he meant well. I'm not judging him. In his mind, this is how you protect tradition. You protect it from all questions and problems and leaks. You don't let anybody see the ugly problems. But what that means is that deep down, you don't believe Yiddishkeit is emes. And because you don't really believe it's emes, so therefore you always have to fabricate and cover up and always protect it. What are you protecting it from? Truth doesn't have to be protected. Falsehood has to be protected. If you have a company and the company is illegit, you have to protect it from any other eyes to watch it, to see it. But if it's legitimate, here, look at my books. Look, you want to look further? You want to look at the fine print? Look at the fine print. You want to take a microscope? Take a microscope. If it's true, I'm not afraid. And it doesn't mean I always have every answer. The teacher could have said, yeah, let's ask somebody. It's a good question. Let me think about it. What does this come from? It comes from a very, very deep fear or insecurity, or just not thinking, really not thinking. That's why I think that in chinuch, especially today, when kids are ahead of the game, you're never allowed to say anything that's not true 100%. Even with the best intentions. This doesn't mean every child has to know everything that's going on everywhere. But to lie, never. To lie, not.
Is there a makar? Is there a makar for what? With the kosher aliyah to tell the kids that? Why is it called kosher aliyah?
What do you understand? What do you see?
What does it have to do? What is it? Is Hashem by the Seder? Hashem is by the Seder. Does Hashem drink from the cup? I drink from the cup for Hashem. So
what's in of kosher aliyah? Maybe that's what we didn't learn. That's what's missing.
Okay, so we need a shear for kosher aliyah, but I don't see the benefit of telling children something that's not true. I don't see the benefit.
Many years about it. So this year,
I mean, I was a kid. They always shook the table, but we all know it was like part of the, it was a part of the truth.
Santa coming to the chimney.
Yeah.
Santa coming to the chimney comes from that.
You don't have to, it's at least real. You don't have to open the door for him.
Can't you just say nothing? Can't you just say nothing? Just if they ask, just
No, because my daughter asked, for years I've been telling her that because that's what I was told to say. So this year I want to tell her, she's going to ask me again. She says, Daddy, I'm going to tell her the truth. I says, I taught until now I learned that it's not true. And that's it. Finish.
Well, you have to find out what it means that he drank from it.
Where does it say that he drank from it?
Until now, I'm going to tell her the truth.
Why do you have to say he drank from it? Why do we have to invent stories?
So now I have to tell her.
Why have you been telling this to her? I'm just wondering.
Because that's what I was told.
I mean, it's a legitimate question. You ask why do Baltashkis wine? Why do you put this? Maybe he's not coming anyway. So what do you do? Why you say to Elena? You say it's Zecher Yetzias Mitzrayim or whatever. Why Eliyahu Novi? Why you pour for him?
You know why it's called Kosher Eliyahu? So the Vilna Gaon says, because there's a machlokes in Gemara, Reb Tarfon says you have to have a fifth cup. Yeah. So between the two opinions, we do a fifth cup and we don't drink it. So the Vilna Gaon says, and since all the questions that are not resolved, Eliyahu Hanavi is going to answer. So that's why it's called Kosher Eliyahu. The cup that Eliyahu Hanavi will answer. I'm saying that's just one explanation why it's called Kosher Eliyahu. That's what the Vilna Gaon writes.
So why do you open the door?
Okay, then there's something else. That's one nekuda. Another nekuda is another explanation. This is Pashat Alpi, very pshat. Yeah. A Litvish pshat, a Vilna Gaon's pshat. It's a good pshat. And then there's the concept of I'll tell you how he puts it in Shulchan. Give me a Shulchan Aruch there.
Now getting ready for the Seder.
Listen, when you're told as a kid that if you put on a light on Shabbos, you don't wake up the next morning, it's the same, and then you wake up, what happens? Everything goes to the garbage as well, subconsciously.
Oh, the first time you think that God forgot.
Right, or forgive.
Forgave you.
If somebody asks you a question and you say, I don't know, there is no negative...
I'm talking about something that I've been told for years.
You knew till now the answer.
Because people understand Gashmi, everything's Begashmi, that's the problem.
It's actually
You open up the door for Leonov.
No, you're answering what question? There was a couple of questions.
Leonov opens the door, and he's not in the body, he could be in the same place, many different places at the same time.
That is correct.
He goes into the body, then he has to be in one place.
No, that is correct. So what, we open the door and then he comes in and drinks? That's what I'm saying.
So spiritually, could be, because there's nothing missing over there. Could be spiritually he drinks, so you don't have to have anything missing. There's a inya You have to learn what it means. Like,
You would know about it.
That's how we say taike. If I was with taike,
How do you know?
yeah,
Schrijven ze. Why don't we say
Open
taike?
the door, you ask what
Why don't we say Moshe Rabbeinu with the end? Moshe Rabbeinu does not. I think Moshe Rabbeinu. Why are you asking Eliyahu Novi?
You know, when
You know
you open the door,
why?
you ask
Because Eliyahu says Moshe Olalamudam. Eliyahu comes to every business. He hangs out locally. Who's going to answer your questions? Not somebody that's far away. Somebody that was hanging out with the people.
And it's a time when you open the door, you ask.
Tosa says Moshe Aaron here's and
Those of the type.
No, that's for good. No, because it's just everybody has to make it. They make it casualties. They make it like, oh, you drink the wine. It's spiritual. You don't have to have wine missing. Spiritually, it's a tremendous thing. You put Gashmis to wine there. Oh, we drink whatever it means. You got to look serious to find out. I'm sure there's things in it.
The most important thing is that when we say Eliyahu Hanavi comes, the Chachamim, about a fifth cup. Do we have a fifth cup or not? So the Vilna Gaon says, because it wasn't resolved, so we just put the cup. We don't drink it, we put it. So he says, since Eliyahu Hanavi is going to resolve all the questions, Teku, Tishbi Ataret, so therefore it's called Kaiser Shel Eliyahu. The cup that Eliyahu Hanavi is going to resolve. Shulchan Aruch,
I have one answer.
in Psachim, in Arvi Psachim, I could show you. Huh? That's what he says. The Vilna Gaon says this. I saw it there.
He will resolve it.
Dissolves it, huh? Dissolves it. In Shulchan Aruch Harav, the Balatanya, Hilchas Pesach Siman Tov Pei, he says, we open the door in order to remember that it's a Leil Shimurim, it's a night of protection, quoting the Ramah in Shulchan Aruch Siman Tov Pei, and that we're not afraid, we're trying to transcend fear. That's a good message. And this amunah of the Jewish people who are not afraid and remember that it's a night of protection, this is part of the amunah that will bring Mashiach. In some places, that is what the Ramah says.
They're unlocked.
In some places, they have a minhag not to lock the doors because it's a Leil Shimurim. And if Eliyahu Hanavi is going to come, they say we want that the door should be open and we should be able to go out swiftly. And we believe this. This is Sefer Hamanig and the Chak Yaakov, right? That's why the Krishma Leil Shimurim, the night of protection. So this is to verify that Jews believe that there's going to be redemption and that the world is going to be redeemed. If Eliyahu Hanavi comes, we want the door should be unlocked, that he could come, we can come out. This Amunah, he says, has a tremendous schar. He's quoting Sefer Hamanig, Chak Yaakov, Magen Avram. He says, places where there are ganavim, you shouldn't rely on a miracle. Whenever it's shchicha hazeka, you don't rely on miracles, even if you're doing mitzvahs. Shluchim mitzvah in Nezaikin, we don't say of shchiach hazeka if it's a common thing. We have a minig in these medinas, limza kais echad yoyser mehamasubin, to pour an extra cup that we're not going to drink. And it has a name, the Kais of Eliyahu Hanavi. First of all, it's important to understand this is a minig, right? Okay. Now, so he just says it's called Kais of Eliyahu Hanavi. What's the reason for this? So there's different interpretations, right? So I told you the interpretation of the Vilna Gaon, because it's a questionable Kais, so we call it the Kais of Eliyahu, meaning we're waiting for Eliyahu to dissolve it. Okay, that's number one. The Talmud of the Maharil says, the reason is because if Eliyahu Hanavi comes the night of Pesach, and we're hoping he's going to come, and we wait for him. So we're trying to emphasize the fact that we're waiting for Eliyahu Hanavi, we're waiting for Mashiach, and says, and if he comes and he reveals himself, tzarich gam hu lekais, he will need the cup. But you see, he drinks the cup. Like we said before, if Eliyahu Hanavi comes, you want the door to be open.
You see, if you look for the truth, you find something.
Another explanation is the reason for this cup is, one second, because why does Eliyahu Hanavi b'chlal, why according to this, it's not even that Eliyahu Hanavi comes, it's like we're anticipating his coming, we hope that he comes. It's not even that he comes. It's not what he says. It's we're anticipating his coming. We're preparing, we're hoping, we want to be ready. Okay. There's also another explanation, a beautiful explanation why it's called Kashel Eliyahu Hanavi, and that is that it says in Pirkei de Rebbe Lezer, it's a very beautiful explanation. It says in Pirkei de Rebbe Lezer, which children should know. Perik Chavtes. that Eliyahu Hanavi told Hashem, Kanoi kinesi Hashem tzvakos. I'm the only one who cares about Hashem. All the prophets, there's 400 prophets who worship Avodah Zarah. Anochi nisharti levadi. I'm the only one who remained a prophet to God because all the Jewish people abandoned your covenant. Azvu was brischa. They all destroyed the covenant. They're not really connected to Judaism anymore. That's what Eliyahu Hanavi tells the Jewish people. So the Medrash says, God said to Eliyahu Hanavi, you say that the Jewish people abandoned my covenant? Chayech, I swear, you're going to go to every single bris and see that they maintained the covenant. So Eliyahu Hanavi goes to every bris. You know why? Because he's the one who doubted it. He's the one who said the Jews are not real anymore. So God said, it says in Tanakh, in Malachim, it says clearly, they abandoned your bris, they're not interested. So Hashem says, you go to every single bris so you could testify the truth. Okay, in other words, that's why he's going to every bris. The halacha by Karban Pesach is, right, that v'chol ara lo yochal boy. Somebody who doesn't have a bris can't eat the Karban Pesach. So whoever is eating the Karban Pesach had a bris. Okay. The night of Yetzias Mitzrayim, the Jews had a bris to be able to eat the Karban Pesach. So Eliyahu Hanavi is there. So by every Seder, Eliyahu Hanavi is there because of the bris. In other words, to testify who the Jewish people are. So that's another explanation of the connection of Eliyahu Hanavi. I would just add, just to give it a little more hamtaka, that when we speak about Eliyahu Hanavi, what are we talking about? We learned here about Malachim, Serafim. So he says, what's Malachim and Serafim? Yeah? Nihi, Chagas, Chabad, Shluchim, Svidis. When we speak about Malachim, we imagine Eliyahu Hanavi, some creature, like they have the song, the flying Lakshan Kugel eater, who flies through the window and sips the cup and flies out. A malach is the pshat, a spiritual dimension that exists in the world. Malach means a shliach. A shliach doesn't necessarily, we define it always in very concrete terms. It's an energy, it's a divine energy that's in the world. As you say, a mitzvah creates a malach. What do you mean a mitzvah creates a malach? To somebody with wings that flies around my head when I do a mitzvah? A mitzvah creates a malach means everything we do creates energy. Those energies are angels. That's what an angel means. Angel doesn't mean you have, white wings and red wings and blue wings. These are all metaphors. Ruchnis, there's no wings. Yeah, we always have to. Be sensitive to what we're talking about. When we give Mishalim are just here to help people understand the Nimshal, not to bring everything down to the lowest levels. So you speak about Eliyahu Hanavi also, you're talking about a certain kayach of elikus, a certain inyan of godliness. Yeah. So Lamashal, there's a Maisa that the Baal Shem Tov once was approached by a student of his, and he said, I would like to see Eliyahu Hanavi. There's a concept called Gili Eliyahu. I want to see Eliyahu Hanavi. Yeah. So the Baal Shem Tov said, what do you need it for? He said he really wants to see. And he begged and pleaded and pleaded. And after a long time, the Baal Shem Tov said, if you want to see Eliyahu Hanavi, so Pesach is coming. Yeah. Go to this house in this city. It's a very poor home, but go there with a lot of food and bring all the food for the Seder because they don't have. And be there for the first days of Pesach and you'll see Eliyahu Hanavi. So he's very excited. He gets permission from his wife. Once in a lifetime, he's actually going to see Eliyahu Hanavi, and he fills up his wagon with a lot of food and meat and chicken and fish and fruit, vegetables, all the good things, and matzah, wine, the best of the best. And he goes to this particular house before Yom Tov, and he knocks on the door, and he asks if he could stay with them. So the lady says, you could stay with us, but you don't want to stay with us because we have nothing. We're broke. We're very poor. And he sees the matzah in the house was pretty dire and desperate. Windows were broken, the ceiling was caved in, there were no beds, they would sleep on straw. It was a house filled with kids without a piece of bread or a piece of matzah. So he said, don't worry, I have food. Tell the kids to come out and take in the food. Children never saw so much food in their life. Simcha and shtetl. They were so happy, they're bringing all the food into the house. And he's there for the first 2 nights of Pesach. And they're fine people, simple Jews, God-fearing Jews, but Eliyahu Hanavi he didn't see. He waited and waited. He thought, no, Shvay Chamascha Kaishel Eliyahu, Halal benching L'Shana Haba. There's no Eliyahu. The first night, the second night, and he was very hurt, Well, Shem Tov told this to him. It was like he felt, as we would say in English, duped. He really felt duped, deceived, yeah. Like Koshel Eliyahu, yeah, his mama's deceived. He went with a Mesiras Nefesh and a sacrifice. So after Yom Tov, he went to the Baal Shem Tov. And he came in and he said, fine Jews, wonderful Jews, but there was no Eliyahu Hanavi there. So the Baal Shem Tov told them, I want you to go back to the house, but this time don't go in, stay outside. Stay outside of the house. So he was very perplexed, was jetzt, He goes back, and he's standing outside of the house, and he's standing, the Baal Shem Tov said, so he does what his Achos does what his Rebbe says. So he's, especially the Baal Shem Tov, so he's standing outside. So the windows were broken, pretty broken, so you can hear the conversations. At some point, he's standing and he hears the husband speak to his wife. And he tells his wife, this is called mazel. What were the chances that a wealthy man with a wagon filled with food to the top should get stuck by our house just before Yom Tov and decide to come spend Yom Tov with us and give our children an unbelievable Pesach? What are the chances? This is what's called mazel. So his wife says, first day stock up. What are you hacking at Shainik? What mazel? It was Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi came. Hashem sent Eliyahu Hanavi to give our kids a Yom Tov. That's who it was. And then he understood what the Baal Shem Tov meant. He wanted to see Eliyahu Hanavi. So the Baal Shem Tov said, if you want to see Eliyahu Hanavi, I'll tell you how to see Eliyahu Hanavi. Take a wagon, fill it up with food, feed 9 hungry children, then go look at the mirror, and you'll see Eliyahu Hanavi. And this is very important, because when we speak about seeing Eliyahu Hanavi, the first and foremost Eliyahu Hanavi you have to meet is the Eliyahu Hanavi inside yourself. And that's the truth. It's not... it's not stam... I don't mean to take... Of course there's Eliyahu Hanavi. When you speak about Ruchnius is not wings that fly through windows. You understand? Ruchnius is here and now. It's the pnimius of the world. Elikus godliness is not some force in heaven. It's the pnimius of a person. Gili Eliyahu means his galus of a certain inyan in your own neshama. There's the pchin of Eliyahu in your own neshama. That's what a malach is. That's what godliness means. That's what he's saying. Melech, malche, amlachim, malach, shliach, sarav. That's what we learned today. What does it mean practically, malach? Yeah, he says malach is nehi and sarav is chagas and shliach is chabad. Ani is chachma. What's chabad? Chabad, chagas, these are parts of you, parts of me. And also beyond us, of course. I don't mean Eliyahu Hanavi is only inside of me, but I'm saying that's the essence of Eliyahu Hanavi. Gilui Eliyahu means a certain gilui of yourself. So you say Eliyahu Hanavi comes to the Seder, you say, you want to see Eliyahu Hanavi by the Seder, you be Eliyahu Hanavi. You're empowered to find Eliyahu in you. That's Gilui Eliyahu. So I could look in the mirror and see the devil. I could look in the mirror and see Eliyahu Hanavi. Which one is true? The answer is they're both true. If I take a wagon, I fill it up with food and I feed 9 children, I'll look in the mirror, I'll see Eliyahu Hanavi. If I do something else, I'll look in the mirror and I'll see the Malach HaMavis. It's both true. It's both true. That's Gili Eliyahu. Huh?
That's kind of the same place.
If you do both, if you do both, it's because a person is a confused soul and they don't know who they are and they don't trust in their Eliyahu Hanavi. They don't trust the stock, so they have to invest in other stocks too.
For the king yet.
Huh?
Yeah. The minute they will believe that the Eliyahu Hanavi, they will see nothing.
They won't have to. In other words, why do we invest money in different stocks? In case this one goes down, this one will go up. In Ruchnius, a lot of us do the same thing. We invest in a lot of stocks because we don't trust any of them. In other words, we're not investing in godliness, we're investing in stocks. When a person is investing in something true, they don't have to invest in a lot of places. You know what I mean? When a person is really married, they don't have to be married to many people. If a person is not really married, there's this one, there's that one, there's that one. When you're married to one person. When you're not married, then I can't commit to you because there's no trust. So therefore I'm here, I'm there, I'm there, I'm there. Sometimes I'm not committed to anybody because I don't trust. Yeah, that's the opposite. Sometimes I'm committed to being committed to everybody and being committed to nobody is more or less the same thing. So when we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust our ability to see truth. We have to invest in a lot of different places because maybe this, maybe that, maybe that. You know, they say the story about an old Jew who was dying, so he called the priest. And he said before he dies, he wants him to baptize him. So his son looks and says, Tata bis Meshiga? He says, listen, you never know, before I die, you never know. He says, if it's emes, fine, I'll die, I'll go to paradise. And if not, yeah, he says, noch a Christ gepegert. Monofshich, right? No. And you understand what I'm saying? But the union of telling children something that's untrue in Yiddishkeit, I think is an educational mistake. And not only a mistake, I think it's a wrong thing. I don't see why people have to do it. Was fällt euch? It's not enough to say that's true. Like, what do you have? Okay, so that's the question, what emunah is. What's emunah? The problem is that so many people think emunah is not truth. Emunah means things we believe in. Flying Luxon Kugel eaters. Things we believe. You have to hack that into your kids. Emunah doesn't mean falsehood. Emunah means truth. The word amun, you know what the word amunah means? Imun means trust, confidence. Amen, what does amen mean? You know what amen means? Amen means it's true. The definition, amunah means to believe something that's true. If you believe something that's not true, it's stupid. It's not amunah, it's foolish. It's a cult. So how you process it is a discussion. You can listen to my basics of amunah. But amunah means reinlegen in min in de kinder. Was darf man reinlegen in de kinder? Emes, nicht kein sheker. So if people define amunah as falsehood, then yeah, you just brainwash your kids with falsehood and they'll stay in the tradition. Why would you want to teach your children something that's not true? Why would a father want to do that to a child?
Basically, it's the worst thing against them.
It's the opposite of emunah. The whole idea of emunah is the exact opposite. The word emunah means truth. Imun, even in Hebrew, means confidence. So you have confidence in it.
What happens if they don't know the answer?
So if somebody really doesn't know an answer, they could say, it's a very good question. Let's go ask somebody. We could speak to somebody, we could call somebody, we could meet somebody. And you could call somebody you respect and ask a question. Look, why does a person always have to feel the need to have all the answers? And if they don't, they have to make up an answer that's not true. Like Kiddush Levana, it's a good question. The boy, if a 9-year-old boy would ask me that question, come over to me, I would actually stop and say, you know what, this kid is going to go places. He may end up on the moon. Instead, why would you say that Hollywood did this? You know you're lying. Why? In other words, you don't believe. In other words, you also think. It's even worse because this teacher also believes that the Chazal made a mistake. Because he knows that they went onto the moon. He's just lying to himself and he's selling a Yiddishkeit that he doesn't believe in. So basically, he's selling to his children a dream that he doesn't really believe in because he just wants the company has to continue. The Ponzi scheme of Bernie Madoff got to go to the next generation. Why are you doing that? Because you yourself don't really believe it. You just feel it's all, you were sold a boat, now it's your time to sell the boat to the next generation. That's what it is. But when it's the Titanic is going to hit the iceberg, it's going to sink. It's going to sink. Because there's nothing to the boat. It's a beautiful boat. The moment it hits an iceberg, so to speak, metaphorically, There's no boat anymore. It goes underwater. Because the whole basis was just shkarim. Now, I'm not even judging this person. He probably wasn't thinking much. He was just programmed, you know? He was programmed. What's wrong with saying it's a good question? Let me think about it. The same time, in a neighborhood, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes away, yeah, is Given Ayid, yeah, and he spoke about it, and he asked this question. He asked the question. He didn't wait for a kid to ask the question. He asked it publicly, Shabbos at a Fabrengen. How do we say Kiddush Levana Eini Yachel and Goyabach? Yeah. And he says the answer is not a complicated answer. The answer is, read the words before. Kishem shani roikid kenegdech ve'eini yachel in goyabach. I'm here on the ground, jumping, and I can't touch you. That's what he's saying. When you're on the ground making Kiddush Levana outside of Shul, you cannot touch the moon. Where does it say in the Nusach Kiddush Levana that man cannot invent a spacecraft to reach the moon? Where does that say? There's such a pasuk, a Gemara. You're saying Kishem shani roikid kenegdech right now, eini yachel in goyabach. It's not a complicated answer. So the teacher didn't figure that out. Fine. So say ich weiß nicht. What's wrong with I don't know? Let's find out. Let's research it. So that's why, people become very, very cynical. They grow up, they become very, very cynical. Kids also know right away when it's true and not true. You know that, right? There's not a single child in the world that you could lie to for a long time. They feel, they know. Even if they won't say it, they won't tell it to you.
Know that they know that.
But they still know, they know. Even if a child thinks, children don't want to believe that their parents are lying. So they will tell themselves that it's true, but they know that it's not true. I don't know any kid that you could lie to. Maybe a 3-year-old. Once they get a little older, they right away feel. Even 3-year-olds feel. But it's very painful for a child to believe that his children are lying. So his parents, the child will repress what he knows is a lie.
So they're lie detectors.
Yeah, they lie. I mean, we know, even we as adults, we feel sometimes, right, when something is untrue. We just feel it. It's your father and mother, and you trust them for everything. So you don't want to say that they're lying. So therefore you tell yourself they're not lying, which is basically you're also causing psychological damage to the child because you're creating inner conflict in him. He has to choose between what he knows is true and what he wants to be true, because who wants to know that their father is saying not true? So besides religious damage, you're also creating psychological damage, I believe. And that's just my opinion. But I think it's very sound.
Where it says that Mount Gavra Rabba, many times.
Yeah.
So Shalom says Mount Gavra Rabba. It says, why is he called Gavra Rabba? Because if somebody asks him a question he doesn't know, he says he doesn't know.
Yeah.
So I know it.
Yeah. There's a story in Gemara, one of the Amirayim, I think it was Rabbi, came to the Beis Medrash and he said, Dvarim shamarti lefneichem toes hein biyadi. I said to you something and it was a mistake. Dvarim shamarti lefneichem toes hein biyadi.
How do I do those mistakes? Because I'm personally guilty of, for example, telling kids a lot of stories, Siddish Mises, that they tell me later, 20 years later, that they don't believe in it. So, don't do it. It's very hard.
Well, if I told my child something that's not true, I can apologize and say I thought so, or I made a mistake, or whatever it is, and I can apologize.
I don't even know if it's true.
He said something at the Fabrengen, and then later he came and said I made a mistake. Don't remember exactly what it was.
I mean, I used to read these stories. Even I've got this a lot of.
Right. So we read Shulchan Aruch Harav. You could read the Rishonim, the Achronim, all the Chabakoshel Eliyahu. Nobody ever says something untrue that he drinks from the cup. They'll never speak like this. You'll never catch these types of people on even a guzma. What they say is tachlis ha'amas. The thing just to make everybody feel good and make action and this. There's enough action. There's real action. You don't have to make new action.
It says also inside about the prince.
No, in the Shulchan Aruch itself, the Batan doesn't give reasons. I was just saying from the this is.
Does the Alter Rebbe say anything about the kos itself, that you shouldn't throw it out, that you could preserve it and it has value?
No, it doesn't.
Think about that?
He just brings out. So I brought from the students of the Maharal that it's because of Emunah that we hope Eliyahu Hanavi comes. So we want to show anticipation, right? And the second reason is from Reb Moshe Chagiz. Reb Moshe Chagiz was one of the big Acharonim. He says the reason about the bris, that the whole reason Eliyahu Hanavi comes to have a bris is because he said that Jews abandoned the bris. So that's a beautiful idea to speak about. That because Eliyahu Hanavi spoke against the Jews, so therefore for thousands of years he shows up at every bris. When a person gets up at a drasha, yeah. When a person gets up at a drasha and says the Jewish people are filthy and dirty and they're goyim and they're not real, so when Eliyahu Hanavi did that for thousands of years, the poor man has to go to every single bris.
Once 1,000 years and 1 second is the same thing.
No, but it's a beautiful idea about how to speak about Jews. It's a tremendous idea. And that's why he comes to the Seder, because this is the time when they ate the carbon basic and everybody had to have a bris. And the night of Yitzias Mitzrayim, it's a beautiful idea. Reb Moshe Chagiz. Very, very nice. The Lubavitcher Rebbe asks in his Haggadah that according to this idea, there is a question, because then you should have poured the cup in the beginning of the Seder, at least before the Afikaiman, which is a Zeichel Pesach. This is the Rebbe's Shaila. It's a good Shaila. The light of Moshe Chagiz, you should have poured it before the Afikaiman because it's Zeichel Pesach. That's when you should. Well, we don't do it. We pour it after. That's an interesting idea.
Where I grew up, we put it in the beginning.
The beginning of the Seder?
By the second.
Really? Interesting. Reb Moshe Chagiz in the Sefer Birchas Eliyahu. It's interesting ideas, beautiful stuff.
So if it's an energy created by a mitzvah, and walking or not flying kugel, when there's a sefer that is written by Eliyahu and you learned with people, how do you explain?
No, of course.
How do you explain that he didn't die?
No, Eliyahu was a person. I didn't. And then he went up, it says, with his body. So there were times that Eliyahu Hanavi came manifested in a body, in a guf, that you could see him. But we all know that by our Seder that doesn't happen. At least not for our eyes. I don't know quantum mechanics.
See, one of the people mentioned that didn't die in the Gemara?
Well, the pasuk says that he didn't. The pasuk says that he went up. He went up with his guf. So there was a different type of death, so to speak. Yeah. So there's a concept of Gili Eliyahu Hanavi in the guf. There's a concept of Gili Eliyahu Hanavi in the Shama, just like a certain energy, a Ruach HaKodesh, Nevuah, a certain awareness.
That's not what was Shemayim when he's dead.
Right. Yeah. I'm not the expert on Gili Eliyahu. I never had Gili Eliyahu. I don't know what it is. Huh? It says Pinchas Eliyahu, yeah. But I know I could fill up a wagon with food and feed children. That I could do. And sometimes that's the deepest Eliyahu. You have to know your Eliyahu Hanavi. You can't get somebody else's Eliyahu Hanavi.
It seems to be what he asked earlier is that there's different roles for him. And
right.
Down here learning with someone, he could drink it.
Yeah.
If he's here spiritually,
Right.
Depends on how you find it.
Yeah.
I've always wondered about this process where he seems to be here and then he goes there, and where does he leave his? He's got a goof. He's got a part-time goof or something. I'm not making a joke. I'm asking that people that appear.
Yeah, I'm saying according to many of the sources here, it's not even that Eliyahu Hanavi comes. It's that we're waiting, we're anticipating, we're opening the door for him. Let's the bris means he does come spiritually, yeah. So that's another interpretation. But I'm saying the other interpretations is that it's basically part of our emunah. And let's speak about it in healing. In healing doesn't come right away, but you have to open yourself up for it. You open yourself up for it, things happen. So we open the door for Eliyahu. It's also a very beautiful idea. You open the doors, you remove the barriers and the blockages. These are powerful ideas. We don't need to substitute these ideas with
also it builds a sensitivity.
Baba Mises.
It's built sensitivity. He stumbled because of us, because he told us that we don't keep the bricks. So we actually help him to, in a way,
come inside. Look what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you the source. You wanted the source for the idea of the Vilna Gaon. I'll show you, okay? So if you open up a Psachim, Tav Kuf Yud Ches, right? We have the Braisa, Daf Kuf Yud Ches. You see, Tanu Rabbanon, the rabbis taught, Kais Revi Omer Alav Halal Hagadol. Divrei Reb Tarfon. Reb Tarfon says that on the fourth cup, we say Halal Hagadol, which are basically the Haidus. Haidul Hashem Kitayv Kilaylam Chazdai, Haidul Elakeya Elakim Kilaylam Chazdai, Haidul Adonai Hadainim. All the Haidus till the end. Yashab Shifleinu Ve'ifrikeinu Naisan Lachem L'chal Basar, all the way till the end. However, there is a different girsa here in the Gemara, a different version in the text of the Gemara that's brought by many Gaonim and many Rishonim. Like, you have the Balalachas Gdol, Reb Sa'adi Gon, Reb Amram Gon, a bunch of Gaonim, and also Rabbeinu Chanan, Rishonim, Rabbeinu Chanan, the Rif, the Rambam, and many. And according to their version in the Gemara says, Kais Chamishi Omer Alav Halal Hagadol Divrei Reb Tarfon. Not Kais Revi, but Kais Chamishi. In other words, Reb Tarfon says that you have to have a fifth cup on which you say Halal Hagadol. That means there's not 4 cups by the Seder, but 5 cups of the Seder. And some of the Rishonim explain, the Ravid and others explain, that the reason for the 4 cups is, one of the reasons is, the Yerushalmi tells us, because the Torah uses 4 languages when it comes to the redemption from Egypt. In the beginning of Parshas Va'era, right? V'hitzeisi, v'hitzalti, v'ga'alti, v'lakachti. I will take you out, I will rescue you, I will redeem you, and I will retrieve you, I will take you. Reb Tarfon, the Ravid says, he says a 5th cup, because it also says v'hevesi. I'm going to bring you, I'm going to take you out, but then v'hevesi, yes, I'm going to bring you to the promised land, to Eretz Yisrael. So that's one opinion of why Reb Tarfon believes in the 5th cup. So now, this is where the Vilna Gaon comes. The Vilna Gaon says, his view is brought, I saw it in Tamei and Hagim. He says as follows: since Reb Tarfon holds, according to so many Goinim and Rishonim, that you need a 5th cup, the Chachamim don't say you need a 5th cup, they say you need 4 cups. And since there was no clear halacha, just like we learned with Hillel, right? There was no clear halacha this way or that way. So the Vilna Gaon says, therefore, we pour the 5th cup, we fill up the 5th cup, but we don't drink it. You pour it and you don't drink it. And that's why he said it's called Kaiser Shel Eliyahu, because since Eliyahu was going to resolve all the questions, Tishbi Yitaretz Koshiz V'Abayis, right? So therefore, this is, so to speak, the cup that Eliyahu Hanavi has to resolve. What's the right thing to do? Should we not pour it? Should we pour it and drink it? So we do like, we're in the middle, like we're in limbo. We pour it, but we don't drink it. That's what the Vilna Gaon explains why it's called Kaiser Shel Eliyahu. Yeah, it's interesting. The Rambam, if you look in the Rambam, right, Hilchas Chametz Matzah, the last chapter, Perek Ches, I think, the Rambam in his halachas of Chametz Matzah, the Rambam also brings this. The Rambam tells us in Hilchas Chametz Matzah, he says that Yesh loy limza kais chamishi. The Rambam says you should pour a 5th cup and say on it the halal of Haidul Hashem Kitayv. And then the Rambam says that kaiza einoi chayve kamay arba kaises. That it's not the Rambam says that this cup is not an obligation like other 4 cups. The Rambam doesn't talk about drinking. He just says to pour the 5th cup. There's a huge discussion about this. The famous Chidushei HaGriz, a famous discussion of the Brisker Rav about how to understand this Rambam. But the point is that we see here that there was a 5th cup already introduced in the times of by the Tanaim and Reb Tarfon, at least according to many texts. So the Vilna Gaon says that's why it's called Kaiser Shel Eliyahu. But then we have the other interpretation, right, based on the Acharayim, the Chak Yaakov and the Shulchan Aruch Harav and the other Svarim, that basically Kaiser Shel Eliyahu is part of our Emunah in Bias HaMashiach. It's called Kaiser Shel Eliyahu because this cup is a 5th cup of wine, which represents the fact that we thank Hashem for the first Geula, and we anticipate and we hope every moment for the next Geula. Like the Ramah says, why we open the doors for Eliyahu Hanavi. Now it's interesting that the Kaiser Shel Eliyahu is not discussed in Shulchan Aruch. Right? If you look in Shulchan Aruch in Siman Taf Pei, that's the final, where the end of the Seder is discussed. The Shulchan Aruch, the classic Shulchan Aruch, doesn't bring anything more than 4 cups. In other words, you have the 4 cups of wine, and that's it. We don't have in Shulchan Aruch. He says you have you don't have. I'll look it up here. Siman Taf Pei. The Shulchan Aruch speaks about the end of the Seder, but he does not mention the Kol Shel Eliyahu, and the Ramah also doesn't. The Ramah speaks about saying Shvay Chamascha and opening the door to remember that it's a night of protection, Lel Shemurim, and the Ramah says in the schus of this Amunah, Mashiach is going to come, but they both don't mention the Kol Shel Eliyahu. Of course, the Mishnah Brura on the Shulchan Aruch does. The Mishnah Brura mentions it, like from the Shulchan Aruch Harav. He says that in our countries, it's almost verbatim from Shulchan Aruch Harav. In our countries, I think it's verbatim, we pour one extra cup, and we call it Kol Shel Eliyahu Hanavi. And the point is, as the Mishnah Brura brings from the Acharayim, it basically intimates that we believe we have a munah, that just like the Rebbeinu Shalom liberated us from Egypt, he's going to liberate us again, and he's going to send Eliyahu Hanavi to give us the great news that Mashiach is about to come, and that's what this cup represents. As some Acharayim put it, like Eliyahu Hanavi might show up, and we got to give him a cup of wine. And this also fits very well with how the Ravid explains the view of Reb Tarfon, that it's Vehevesi. Vehevesi is the fifth word that represents coming to Eretz Yisrael, not just leaving Mitzrayim, but coming to Ula, which also includes, of course, the ultimate arrival in Eretz Yisrael with Mashiach Tzidkenu, when all the Jews will be brought back to Eretz Yisrael. So the fifth cup is connected with the Geula that we open the doors for, we wait for it, we anticipate it. And it's not just opening the doors physically, it's opening the doors spiritually, it's opening your heart, it's Pischu Lishari Tzedek, right? It's opening your heart, it's opening your soul, it's opening your Amunah, it's opening yourself up from a gullus mentality, from a gullus, from being stuck in our own confinements and our own shackles. And as I said before, to be able to reveal the Geula consciousness in yourself and the Eliyahu Hanavi within yourself. That's how it begins. The Moirei Naim writes that in every Jew there's a spark of Mashiach. Every Jew there's a spark of Eliyahu Hanavi. And we each try to open the doors to that state of consciousness, to that type of godliness, to that type of Kedusha, to that type of love. And we hope and we pray and that Mashiach comes. So that's why this cup, according to many, is called the cup of Eliyahu Hanavi. It's the cup that represents our emunah in the Geula, our anticipation for the Geula, our tefillah for the Geula, our faith in the Geula, which has sustained the Jewish people for not hundreds of years, but thousands of years. So there's no need to manipulate this. It's so beautiful. A nation that lives with faith, and a nation that lives with the past and with the present and with the future.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.